7th meeting to order. It is now 6:01. We're going to have the prayer by Mr. Eugene Olivier. Mr. Eugene.
Let us all rise, please. On the morning of September the 11th, 2001, 2,976 people from 93 countries lost their lives in New York at the Pentagon and on Flight 93. Today we pause to remember that moment and honor and pray for those left scarred by this terrific event. We remember the first time we heard the news. We recall the first time we saw those images. We remember the way our thoughts and prayers were on those families who lost their loved ones. Our thoughts and prayers are with them again today. We remember those who survived. We recall their heartbreaking stories. Remember that their lives are forever scarred by those moments. Our thoughts and prayers are also with them again today. As we close, let's recite the Lord's Prayer. Our
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Thank you.
Mr. Gonsalas, the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Tommy Pollard.
Here.
Michael Landry. Tommy Landry. Lloyd Brown.
Here.
Warren Gotchison.
Here.
Natalie Broussard. Paul Landry.
Here.
Ricky Gonsalas. Joel Dugas.
Here.
Eugene Olivier.
Here.
Brian Napier. Burrick Francis. Marty Tronholm.
Here.
Chad Montaran.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum, so now I need a motion and a second to go into public comments. I have a motion by Mr. Gonsalas, a second by Mr. Pollard. Roll call.
Wait.
Tommy. Okay, we're now in public comments. Public comments. The policy allows for 3 minutes per person. Item number 1, comments from the general public on non-agenda items. I'm going to go to item number B. So Mr. Jack Montesset, Secretary of the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, to update the council on the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries future plans for Marsh Island Refuge. Mr. Jack?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the council, Representative Miguez asked us to come by and spend some time with you to share what our plans are for the Delta Wildlife Management Area, the Marsh Island Wildlife Management Area, and the State Refuge, which is about 5 miles west of that. I brought one of my staff managers here who's going to share with you what our plans are in that area, how much money we're going to be spending in that area, and just kind of give you an update on where we're headed with that. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Tommy Tuma, who is that program manager for this whole area.
Thank you, Secretary Montesset. Members of the police jury, thank you for allowing us to come here a little bit and kind of talk about some of the things that we're going to be doing on the Atchafalaya Delta Wildlife Management Area and Marsh Island State Wildlife and Ile de Neer refuges. We've had Marsh Island is almost 100 years old. It was donated by the Russell Sage Foundation to the department for the betterment of the citizens of Louisiana to utilize, to provide socioeconomic value, to provide just value, whether it be mental health or somebody going out there and spending time with nature, storm protection or whatnot. And it's achieved its mission throughout the years, and it's a jewel of our wildlife management area and refuge system. But with everything that we have, we're going to be making some changes on how we operate that refuge and state wildlife refuge and the ones that I mentioned, the Atchafalaya Delta and Ile de Neer. And so what we're looking at is we have a lot of facilities on state wildlife and Marsh Island that are in pretty bad shape. Specifically Marsh Island, we'll start there. There's been, those facilities are probably 50 or 60 years old, and they've probably reached their useful lifespan. Vermilion Bay, I'm sure that y'all are all aware, being from here. I looked at a photograph from the 1960s, and Vermilion Bay was, you know, probably 400 or 500 yards from the island, you know, the interior island where our compound is located, and now it's just a couple hundred yards. So we've had a lot of shoreline erosion. We've had a lot of, and it's opening up that area for to be susceptible for damage should we get storms or whatnot. So those facilities to rebuild we need to rebuild the bunkhouse and the boathouse and the generator shed. At the same time, subsidence rate they're increasing, so the island is sinking faster than we can pour dirt on it. As a matter of fact, we spent $2.6 million in the last 5 years replacing the bulkhead and trying to get that island in shape. However, we still need to spend probably another $7.5–8 million to develop all those facilities that we were talking about: the bunkhouse, the generator shed, the tool shed, the boathouse, and some other infrastructure improvements there. So because we're not getting any more money, and we're trying to look at doing things more efficiently, at some point you just have to make a decision, say, when is enough? You know, do you keep pouring money into a bottomless pit, or do you look at another game plan? Fortunately, Secretary Monasey has allowed us to look at all options available. We do have a facility at State Wildlife that has shore power. When you're at Marsh Island, it's running on a generator 24 hours a day if we have staff there. Back in the old days, we staffed people there, 365 days a year. Now we work Monday through Friday. We have people there Monday through Friday, and then nobody there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then they return on a hitch, and they work 4 10s essentially. But we do have shore power at State Wildlife, and that facility is in a little bit better shape. It's a little bit further in than Marsh Island. The boat shed there is in a little bit better shape, although we do have some work to do there. So what we're thinking about doing, or what we are going to do, is we're going to consolidate the staff of Atchafalaya Delta, Marsh Island Refuge, and we're going to kind of have that staff work on wherever the work is needed. Our work is sometimes seasonal. It's project oriented. It's going to allow us to use our facilities more efficiently. It's going to allow us to use our people more efficiently. We also, we're not walking away from Marsh Island. They will spend the majority of their time on Marsh Island doing restoration projects. We have a lot of structure. We manage for a healthy marsh. We manage for migratory waterfowl. We manage for birds. We manage for everything. We allow ingress and egress of water throughout that marsh system. So right now we have several projects planned for Marsh Island. Hopefully going into construction this fall will be the replacement of 3 structures. I don't know how big the barrels are, but it's 3 large structures to the tune of about $2.6 or $2.7 million. We also have some 3 more project proposals that we're talking about doing, and we're always looking for funding to do shoreline stabilization projects through QIPR or whatever, some avenues there. But speaking specifically of facilities, we will be moving our staff. The staff will stay at Marsh Island while we're doing some repairs to State Wildlife, getting some our infrastructure there ready to make that big move, because there's a lot of boats. There's a lot of, we have tractors and lawnmowers and stuff. We will also, if you're familiar with Marsh Island, we will be developing a boat shed and a place for a barge that has a kind of a houseboat barge that's going to be self-contained, that has a generator with it. That way we can kind of move around wherever we need to do the work. In other words, if we're working on the north side of the island or the south side of the island, that barge will be able to go and spud down or moor up somewhere, and they'll be able to work closer to their project where they don't have to take 30 or 40 minutes in a boat to get around the island or traverse, Vermilion Bay, whatever. So we'll have that ability to do that. So even though we're moving out of Iberia Parish with our people to Vermilion Parish, we'll still be operating out of Sippermore Point. That's where all of our people go out of. That's where we spend our dollars on fuel, and the guys get food and supplies in Iberia Parish still. So we're not walking away from Iberia Parish. We're still going to be in Iberia Parish. And this is a fluid situation. I just want to kind of remind you, because, should storms be, we always are under the threat of hurricane and storm damage. And being offshore like that certainly has some logistical problems. We're even looking at, in the future, should something happen to our existing facilities, maybe maybe Sycamore Point is the place that we need to go out because it's kind of close. It's about a 30-minute boat ride or 40-minute boat ride from State Wildlife to Marsh Island. It's only about a 10-minute boat ride from Sycamore Point to Marsh Island. So we're always looking for ways to do things more effectively and more efficiently, utilizing the available staff that we have. Chaffalaya Delta is a creating delta. There's, you know, it's building land. So any land management that you do, it's very short term, the effect that you have, because like this year when it was flooded essentially 10 straight months, it's deposited in silt. So whatever land management activity you did probably is you can't tell the effects of it. So instead of having people there all the time, we're going to consolidate that staff, as I spoke earlier, send them to Marsh Island. We're going to concentrate on habitat management of that property. We have met with the Russell Sage Foundation representative in Louisiana. We asked him, said, what do you want from Marsh Island? And we asked him specifically, do the facilities have to be there? And he said, I want the money to be spent on habitat management. The facilities were there because y'all put them there, and we figure y'all are the professionals and y'all are making those decisions and put them where you need to put them. But you don't have to have a facility on Marsh Island. We'd rather you spend that money on habitat management projects. So long story short, and I know I haven't been very brief, but we're going to take that money we're going to spend on facilities, we're going to put it in the habitat, we're going to put it in the hopefully restoration. We're going to focus our time on developing shoreline stabilization projects, marsh improvement projects, replacing these structures, and provide the habitat that's important for the state of Louisiana and the people that use those areas. And we're going to put our people at State Wildlife, and it's no different. I explain, you know, when I'm talking to staff, it's a big change for them, but I say we have WMAs and refuges all over the state. It's no different than the guy who gets in a truck and drives 30 minutes in a truck. If you drive 30 minutes in a boat, it's the same thing. It's just logistics of getting, you know, traveling somewhere. It's just a little bit more complex when you involve a boat and waves and stuff. And we recognize that there will be times that maybe you can't get out. You know, you're on State Wildlife and you were planning on going to Marsh Island, you can't get across Vermilion Bay, but you can still work on State Wildlife. We've told our people, said this is our plan moving forward. If you need a bigger boat to cross Vermilion Bay so you can do that work, then we'll purchase that, and we'll move forward from there. But I hope I've answered all your questions or kind of give you a little insight on what we're going to do on these properties. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Okay, we do have one with Mr. Goshasan. Mr. Goshasan?
Mr. Chairman, from the story I heard, I mean, it seems like Iberia Parish is losing some more state resources here. I mean, just a year ago, the secretary was here when he was talking about shutting down our Wildlife and Fisheries Department, and those guys were going to be still stationed here, and there was going to be little to no effect in our local commerce because they were going to still buy things here. Now you come and tell us we're going to lose the presence of most of the presence of wildlife and fisheries here in the parish, but we're going to get a boat shed and a barge. I mean, I don't. I mean, it's
No, you're wrong, Mr. Gotchasan. What you're going to have the same people working there. We're going to spend the same amount of money there. What you're not going to have is a building being built on Marsh Island that a hurricane can wipe out. That's what you're not going to have. But the same people are going to work here. In fact, you're probably going to have more people because we're going to be consolidating people from two other areas into one.
Mr. Secretary, you said the same thing when you sat right there in a meeting we had in front of council members and other delegation here, and you said we were going to have better presence from wildlife and fishery, and I haven't seen that, all due respect.
Well,
I feel like it's been a political propaganda from the government that we're being ripped of our resources here. These are all people here who pay resources, pay state taxes. We want our fair share of the game. I mean, I just think we're not getting what we're putting into it. We keep losing resources from the state. You telling us we're going to move 40 minutes to relocate, and then we're going to just drive back and forth. The same thing you did when you moved our wildlife and fisheries building. I can't sit back and stand here and say that I agree with everything you're doing, because I'm not.
Well,
I haven't been a fan of what you've done, what's been done to us, a coastal parish.
The problem that I'm faced with is a budgetary problem, just like y'all are faced with.
I understand that completely, Secretary, but I will tell you, just out of common sense, is the presence needs to be here in the coastal and not sitting up in the corporate office 40 miles from here.
Our people do not sit in the corporate office.
Well,
only those heads of those divisions. The people that work out in the field are still working out in the field in New Iberia.
And yet we're not getting what we're paying for in Baton Rouge. When is somebody going to stand up for us and say enough is enough? I mean, I was coming here to listen to some good news. This is not good news if this is what you were coming to present to us. Or was this the time that you were going to tell us now, hey, this is the cuts we're making, and we're not going to go behind closed doors and make the cuts? And then find out in the public that that's what's happened, like we did when we moved the Wildlife and Fisheries building.
It's not cuts at all, Mr.
This is
Gutcherson.
cuts, sir.
This
If
is
you
not
move somebody
cuts at all.
from out of the parish
It's a
to another parish,
facility.
it's a cut. I'm done, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Jack, you have any other comments?
Look, I'm faced with a budget deficit when I stepped in office of $30 million a year, spending more than what we had coming in. I've got to run this thing like a business. I can't continue spending money we don't have. So we're doing some things to try to make things more efficient and certainly move forward and not reduce the services as least as possible. The people that work in Iberia Parish are still working in Iberia Parish. The main headquarters is in Lafayette, but you can go there during the day. The people that are out in the field are working in Iberia Parish. I can assure you of that. We're going to consolidate 3 working groups together, and they're going to be working in Iberia Parish off of Marsh Island. We want to make Marsh Island not build a building for people to go to. We want Marsh Island a place where people can go fish, catch shrimp, catch crabs, catch fish. That's what our primary purpose with Marsh Island is. So we're going to take our money and spend it in those structures that we need in order to develop that habitat for that kind of species. We just want to make it a better place for people to be able to go fish. I remember I used to have a camp at Sycamore Point, and I used to cross Marsh Island, cross the bay, and go to Marsh Island and catch all the crabs I wanted, catch all the flounder I wanted. You know, those structures are years and years old. They need to be replaced. And so that we can develop a habitat where people can go back and do the same thing again and have that availability of that resource.
Understood.
Thank you.
Let's see. Mr. Trahan?
Yes. Warren, I talked to him before. And on the Russell Sage Foundation, there is no money that is leaving Iberia Parish that's dedicated with the 4 different funds. They can't take it and go spend it in the Delta. They can't go take it and spend it at the state. It stays on Marsh Island, you know. And the way it's set up, they have it in a trust fund to where they can only use the interest.
That's it.
And that. So, and they're doing just like us. They're consolidating workforces to get a better productivity.
That's all we're trying to do. The Russell Sage Foundation.
Mr. Gauss, you saying? You finished? Okay, Mr. Gonsalas?
Jack, you just mentioned that we should see improved services, improved recreational facilities for our constituents that are paying taxes for the island. How soon do you think we'll see those improvements? Because obviously you're going to reduce the workforce and the labor on the island, so we should see them pretty.
No,
immediately.
we're not going to reduce the labor
reduce
force.
the revenues.
No, we're not going to reduce the revenues on Marsh Island, because the revenues from the Russell Sage Foundation cannot be spent on anything else but Marsh Island. Okay, that money's going to stay there. We're going to put about $2.7 million in new structures this coming year. We have contracts for those. We're going to have some more money available to do some more projects on Marsh Island, build levees and do what we got to do to restore that habitat. That money's going to stay there. Okay?
So we should see something this fiscal year.
Yeah, well, you're going to see we're going to see something moving forward. Not necessarily this fiscal year, probably at the beginning of next year.
We have a preliminary estimate of this winter starting construction on those structures. So you'll actually see an increase in activity on Marsh Island with this move. I know it's probably counterintuitive to think that way, but with the staff that we're bringing from Atchafalaya Delta, just think of this. That's the bunkhouse at State Wildlife is just a place for people to sleep. All right, they can get in a boat, and they're going to be spending the majority of their time on Marsh Island. And Secretary Montesay was correct. The Russell Sage Foundation, they indicated this is how they want their money spent, not on facilities, on these structures. So we've made a commitment to them that we're going to spend more time on Marsh Island. We're going to do more work on Marsh Island than has been done in the past. We're going to focus on habitat and maintenance instead of having to care for these facilities. We can't spend that money on anything but Marsh Island. We can't spend Marsh Island funds on State Wildlife. We can only spend on Marsh Island.
One more. So if you know, I agree. You have a long-range plan. You have some projects lined up. There's the possibility that we can get some information on what's the, you know, long-term plan for Marshall Island, so we can maybe share with our constituents.
Absolutely. I can share what we've done in the past, and I can share what our long-term plans are. We have a plan probably right now in the process. They're talking about projects 5 years out, moving forward. Of course, some of that stuff, the shoreline protection projects and some of the stuff, the money that comes through QIPRA, you know, with the federal government, the Restore Act and all that other stuff. Unfortunately, this basin is not a focal Terrebonne, and, you know, further east is, but we do have some projects that we will continue to propose and try to get funding for shoreline stabilization, some other stuff. So Marshall Island is the priority for us with this move. We're making this move so we can focus more on habitat management and spending money on the structures and the infrastructures that are needed to properly manage that marsh system and not spend the money on facilities. We're trying to reduce our obligations financially on facilities, which, you know, the barge, that makes us more mobile. That makes us more efficient to go in the interior of the island and have staff there to work on Marsh Island when we're there.
Just if you get a chance, share that information with the council so we can exchange the information if possible.
Certainly, I will. I guess I can get the information
Yeah,
from
the clerk will have it for you.
Okay. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
I'm done, Mr. Land.
Okay, well, Mr. Jack, I understand what you're doing. I see, instead of putting it into a building that could get knocked down, we're gonna put it into the refuge, so. Thank you all for coming here, and I appreciate everything. Thank you all. Okay, next item up is item A, Miss Michelle Landry to address the council regarding drainage issues on Vita Shaw Road. Ms. Landry?
I didn't believe it. I want the handwriting. I want the black and white. That's why I wanted black and white. I want to see what he's saying.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. I've created a slideshow that I will, if you can just run it while I'm talking, that's fine. So the first, the slideshow that I've created is just a bunch of pictures that not only myself, but some of my neighbors and things like that have kind of sent to me. The first picture is of the actual drainage culvert that I'll be talking about. Or I should say is the issue. And once you get it up, it is on a timer. Well, while she's working on that, I'll just kind of discuss the map that we have that I just passed out. As you can see, the yellow lines are, first of all, the X that you have in the middle of the page, that is my property. The yellow lines that you can see from these two subdivisions, like halfway from Kyle Landry subdivision and Cajun Drive, both of those canals right there are coulees, both run to the side of my property. My property, or actually the ditch right on the side of my property, the coulee right on the side of my property is about 15 to 20 foot deep. And when she pulls it up, you can see there's a 5-foot culvert that goes underneath the road. Most of the pictures that I have from my property are not all from 2016. I do know that 2016 was pretty much, I mean, that was a freak of nature. Nobody can ever imagine that that would happen. But as you're going to see in some of the pictures, 2016, wow, yes, it was the worst for me. It's not, I mean, I still had flooding. I bought this property 7 years ago, and we flooded 5 times. Not flooded in my house, however, but on the property to where I can't even get out my driveway.
Ms. Landry, I don't think we're going to be able to get it up on the road, but so you might want to, as you speak, and just we'll work off the map that we have.
So, okay, back to the map. So you can see the X in the middle of the map. That is my property. And then again, if you follow in the map, the yellow lines, you'll see how from Kyle Cajun Drive in the middle of Cal Landry subdivision, all of that drains to that X. Once it passes the X, you can see the road, that is Vita Shaw Road. At Vita Shaw Road, we have a 5-foot culvert that passes through there. From there, you go probably about a fourth of a mile, a half a mile down the road, and you see the first circle. That's where that canal elbows, there it is. So that's the culvert.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
So that's the culvert that I'm talking about. That's on my property right at the road. Again, the first little circle is where once it passes the road, it goes about a half a mile, quarter of a mile, half a mile down the road, and then it elbows. From there, the second little circle, that is Danielle Road, and at that point right there, they do have a flat bridge. The third circle on the map, that is where it goes through, that's where it meets the Bayou Teche. Just to give you a little background of what I've done, in June, I called Mr. Joe Dugas to come and talk to him, or for him to come and talk to me to find out what can be done, where can we go from here, what do I do? So he came and met with me, and he helped me with the work order. In June, I called the parish works and what's going on? Can you tell me where it is? Have they even looked at it? Have they come out? Nobody can give me anything. In August, I received a letter from a neighbor to join the Nextdoor app. So I did that. I posted on there that I sent in a work order. This is my drainage issue. Does anybody else have this issue? Just to try and get an idea of what's going on down my street, in my neighborhood, wherever. From that first post that I had 57 comments about drainage issues, not only in my district, but also in District 8. And Ricky knows what we're talking about. But anyway, from that, it was a lot of negative. Good luck with that. Nobody's going to listen to you, which drove me even more. So I am here today, and this is what I decided to come and talk to y'all, because I need help. Last week, as you can see, last week I had a roundtable meeting at my house for some of my neighbors. You know, I did have some of the council members asked to come, which, was perfectly fine. But what I wanted to know was, what do I need to do? Where do I need to go? This whole roundtable meeting was for me and my neighbors. So we can know what issues you have, what issues I have, how can we come together, what can we do to solve this problem? During this event, I learned a lot of the problems with my neighboring area was they really need some cleaning of the drainage. That a lot of it, and we've kind of discussed this in a situation where there's, with the mill, with Cal Landry subdivision, and then, with Blue Haven subdivision, their ditches just need to be cleaned. And that's pretty much what it is. However, my drainage issue is a whole lot different. Again, my problem that we're having is we have a 15-foot coulee, 20-foot coulee. We have a 5-foot culvert. I've watched on the other side of the road, not where the picture of the culvert, but on the other side of the road, where the water coming out of that 5-foot culvert looked like a fire hose. From all the water that's rushing out of the culvert, it has hollowed out, so it's probably about 25 or 30 foot deep. And then it goes back into a smaller area where it drains out. And again, it needs to be cleaned. So a little bit of background. A year before we bought the property, I found out that there was a culvert with a bridge coming from the cane fields right at the end of my property that was taken out. That right there probably, and I can't say yes or no because of the fact that I wasn't there, but probably did not flood my property as much because that kind of stopped it. 7 years ago when we did buy the culvert was, bought the property, the coulee was dredged, it was dug out, it was cleaned. Well, then the parish realized that around the culvert, it was starting to erode. So they put a bulkhead, which was pretty much just a Band-Aid for what we need. when our ditch gets cleaned, probably, hopefully twice a year, if that much. When it does get clean, they pretty much just go through and shred it. And what all that does is leave everything that's in the ditch, overgrown stuff that's already in the ditch, and it just stays in there, which again, it blocks up the culvert and it just floods even more. As of right now, if they would go in and clean my culvert, my yard would flood 3 times faster. So, that's the only thing that's slowing the water is the vegetation and the overgrown vegetation that's in there. I do know from talking to a few people since I started all of this that there is an engineer that is supposed to be scheduled to come and look at this. I know before the meeting, I received a message that they're going to be coming out this week. But I still have some other concerns because, again, out of the 57 messages that I got on this post, some people have been dealing with this for 20 years. I can't afford to deal with this for 20 years. I have a 78-year-old mother-in-law that lives in the property with me. If you saw at some of the beginning of the pictures, there's 2 trailers on my property. One is my mother-in-law's and one is mine. And we're supposed to be building a house on the property. I refuse to build a house until this gets fixed. But my 78-year-old grandmother, if something should happen to her and we're flooded in, how is the ambulance supposed to get there? They can't. There is absolutely no way. That's knee-deep water at her trailer. I guess my question is, I've kind of heard some different things. My question is, what happens if the engineers come out and they say, oh, well, that culvert is sufficient? Obviously, you can see it's not. I just want to know what's the plan. What do we need to do? How can I get this fixed sooner? Again, I have a 78-year-old mother-in-law that lives with me, and
Okay,
I just can't.
I'm going to have a couple questions for you, and
Okay.
then we're going to move on to something else. So, Mr. Gonsolin?
I don't.
Okay. Mr. Brown?
Sandy,
It's stuck, that's fine.
I was looking at your speaker sheet, and I didn't see any administration people that you talked to here. Who were those administration people you talked to?
Well, the administration, like I said, Mr. Joe Dugas is my parish councilman. I have been in touch with him. I've also been in touch with Warren Gotchson, Ricky Gonsolin. I have been in touch with them as far as for, councilmen here on the board. I have spoken to Brian Napier about this. So I have administration. That's who, the councilman.
But that should be the parish president.
And if I've been married to my husband for 15 years, he was a Marine and a state trooper, so I go by the chain of command.
Well, that is.
Well, I'm supposed to start with my parish councilman first, ain't I?
Well, okay, I'm done.
I have an upper respiratory infection, so I'm gonna do the best I can.
Okay.
I agree with you. 20 years, there's been problems in that particular area. You're right. There have been areas in Iberia Parish where we've been cleaning channels that hadn't been cleaned in over 30 years. And we've been 40 years, okay, I'm sorry. That hasn't been cleaned in that amount of time. I totally understand what you're saying. And we're certainly going to get into it. I called you yesterday. And the reason I called you yesterday is because I was trying to find out if there was any questions that you was going to ask that we would be able to, that I would be able to try to directly answer for you. And you said that you didn't want to do it that way or whatever you said. But
No,
this
that's
is,
not what I said, but okay.
okay, but anyway, and I'm definitely
no.
not doing anything to argue. I'm just saying that was the reason I called yesterday, is because I wanted to make sure if you was going to ask a question, we can handle it. But since then, I got with Mr. Joe earlier today and Scott and the Public Works Chair, and it sounded like you think that the issue is only enlarging the culvert, and if that's it, the only thing we're going to do is get an engineer to come out here, and he's going to do the analysis on it, and we're going to go check it out. And if that's all the problem is, it shouldn't be a big deal. However, from what I've seen, looking at those pictures, it's going to be more involved than that. It's going to be much more involved than trying to change one pipe and solve all of that drainage that's going on in this whole area that you're showing, just from my past 20 years experience in this. But I'll be more than happy to get with you anytime you want and talk to you about anything that you want to talk about. But right now, the Public Works Director CAO Scott is lining everything up to get someone to go out and take a look at it.
Okay,
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
And is there like a time frame of when I can expect them? I mean, will they call us so we can at least show the person that comes the pictures that we have? Perfect, thank you.
Good, thank you. And I'm gonna give you my card. Well,
Okay.
you got my number because
Yes, I have
sent it
it.
to you the day before yesterday on Facebook.
Yes,
When
I have
seen
it.
that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Marty? Let's go.
Thank you very much.
Hold
I
on.
appreciate
Hold
it. Oh, I had another question.
I just wanted to make one comment. So back in June, she called me about the drainage problem, and we went on the website and filled out the work order the way any other constituent's required to do that. So for someone to say that she didn't contact the right people, then we need to get rid of the website if that's the problem, okay?
And
It was filed and documented the right way.
And I still have the email saved.
Thank you.
Mr. Gonsolin?
Michelle, and just want to let you know that you did follow the proper protocol, and this is the proper way to go about doing it. You know, they in charge of day-to-day. We submit the work order, so you have the commitment from our administration to address the drainage problem. I feel comfortable they will. If it shouldn't happen the way you feel comfortable, just reach back out. But that's how the system's supposed to work.
Yeah.
And it should have been done a lot sooner, I agree, but now we got it in motion, and
Well, and the thing is I know that, I mean, that my whole work order has only been a couple of months, but I mean, like I said, through this, talking to people with all the issues that they have, I can't afford to wait 20 years
Yep.
or even 10 years on there.
And since you've discussed it, we've already created a couple work on Turnberry, on Cajun. We've already created a couple work orders to get some stuff addressed, and it went through the administration. So I think the administration is committed to try to help as much as they can, and I think you'll get some assistance.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're on item number C, Ms. Roberta Boudreau to address the council to announce her candidacy for Iberia Parish Sheriff. Ms. Roberta?
Hi, thank y'all for having me. I'm gonna make it real brief. I don't think I really need 3 minutes. I'm a native and living in Iberia Parish for 53 years, District 10. I'm a high school graduate from Nish, Northeast Graduate College, bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a minor in psychology. As you guys know, I'm a candidate for sheriff. I look forward to working with you. I know that cost and expenses at the jail have escalated quite a bit since I'm gone. Many of you were board members when I was warden. I feel like I probably can implement some cost savings there, in addition to trying to provide better services out in the parish for the constituents out there. So I look forward to having an opportunity to work with you, provided the voters see fit to put me in the position. My name is Roberta Boudreau, and I am a candidate for sheriff. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Roberta. Item number D, Mr. Ryan Huval to address the council to announce his candidacy for Iberia Parish Clerk of Court. Mr. Ryan.
I'm here. Thank y'all for having me, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for the job that you do day in and day out. I know it's tough, especially when you come to the budget issues. Again, my name is Ryan Huval. I'm running for the Iberia Parish Clerk of Court. I do have the most experience in that office, 16 years. I think the things that I've done in my background qualifies me to a greater degree to be the next clerk of court, and not only working in the clerk of court, but the things that I've done outside the clerk of court, as working for a software company that does software for the clerks of court, has given me a good opportunity to travel the state and see the things that can be done. And I bring that experience, but also I think something that's very important to this position is community involvement. And I definitely have that. I've spent 36 years in youth ministry, and so in addition to other things like helping coach biddy basketball, girls softball, teaching confirmation, there's several things that I've done throughout the years. So I think that's important because that's what the clerk does. The clerk serves. And I think if you get somebody that doesn't have a service background, I kind of question that, where their motives are. So anyway, that's kind of my background there. Now I think the big question is, you know, which has never been answered throughout the years, is what can the clerk of court do for the Iberia Parish government? I want to let you know that I do have plans that will help you guys out, hopefully. And one of the big things that I want to do, and I've talked about it at some of the forums, is the building that's back there that you all built for the clerk's records. I'd like to eventually give it back to the parish, and I've got a 2-term plan to actually implement that and give that building back to y'all. And not to go back over, you know, bad history or anything like that, but I think if there was an effective clerk that was in place, that was doing the right things, there would have been no need for that building to ever been built. Not only that, there's books that were bound over the years, and I think over the last 20 years, you're probably looking at over $2 million that, in my opinion, was wasted on binding these books, because what they did was they spent actually more money laminating all of these documents, which any archivist don't recommend that process is done. So I think that the parish ended up spending a lot of money, you know, over bad practices and all, and that's really what I want to stop. I want to bring my experience to not only help parish government, but to help everybody in the courthouse. I've talked about, I believe, with most of the candidates that are running for sheriff, and I've said there's a lot that we can do, integrations that we can do where we're not duplicating services, but we just need to be able to work together. Some of that stuff is starting to fall into place right now. I know the sheriff had just purchased a product that will help with that. But there's also things I'd like to integrate with the judges, the court system, the DA. I would like more integration there. I would also like to be able to work more with the jail and get, because the Supreme Court is looking for this type of stuff where they want to know from arrest to final disposition and everything that happens in between. So these are some of the, I'm just kind of scratching the surface of some of the things that I would like to put in place. I think my experience, like I said, will do the Iberia Parish well in a lot of the things that I want to do. And again, traveling the state, I believe, puts me in a good position to know what needs to be done and to help this parish. I do have a detailed plan on my website, which is ryanhuval.com. It's kind of hard to remember. It's ryanhuval.com. And one of the things also, too, seeing Natalie here, is that I'd like to also work a lot with the attorneys, because they're mainly the ones that use the service of the clerk's office. But I do want to make it easier for the public to access the records there. But getting back to the attorneys, see what we can do to kind of help these attorneys, you know, do some of their work a little bit quicker and more efficient. So I just ask for you to consider me on October 12th. My number is 95. Again, my name is Ryan Huval, and I'm running for clerk of court. I don't know if y'all would have any questions for me.
I don't have any on the screen, so
okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, no problem.
Good luck. Item number E, Mr. Butch Carter, to address the council regarding concerns about trash collection and drainage. Mr. Butch? Okay, seeing him not here, we'll move on to item number 2, comments from the general public on agenda items. A, persons being considered for appointment to parish boards, commissions to address the council. We had 2 individuals, Mr. Larry Henskins and Mr. Thomas Lemaire. Either one here? Okay, then we'll go to Miss Cynthia Elmer is here to speak on item 142. Miss Cynthia?
Good afternoon. I'm Cynthia Elmer, and I thank you for letting me speak to y'all about something that's very important, suicide prevention. September is Suicide Prevention Month, and this week happens to be Suicide Prevention Week. So I come to you, and I'm going to read the proclamation in recognition of National Suicide Prevention Week. No? You gonna read it? Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Whereas suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the U.S. and the second leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 15 to 34. And whereas, according to the Centers for Disease Control, over 47,000 people die by suicide in the United States each year. And whereas suicide is the only leading cause of death in the United States that has increased every year for the past decade. And whereas in 2017, suicide was the 11th leading cause of death in Louisiana. And whereas over 90% of the people who die by suicide have a diagnosable and treatable mental health condition, although often that condition is not recognized or treated. And whereas organizations such as the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention envision a world without suicide and are dedicated to saving lives and bringing hope to those affected by suicide through research, education, and advocacy. Almost didn't get that out. Now therefore, I, M. Larry Richard, President of Iberia Parish, do hereby designate September 8th through September 14th, 2019 as National Suicide Awareness Month. In witness whereof, I have set my hand in the seal of the parish of Iberia, Louisiana, to be affixed on this 11th day of September in the year of our Lord, 2019.
I just wanted to say one thing that was brought to my attention this week. The 911 calls from September of last year to September of this year, 400 suicide calls, 911 in Iberia Parish. Y'all, it's a bad issue, an issue that we would like to present. We go around the United States and the state for advocacy. We passed a bill, House Bill 53 this year, that makes all elected, excuse me, y'all, all school officials to have 2 hours of continuing education in suicide prevention. It was passed in 2008, but we noticed that not all the schools were doing it. So now they're going to be checked to make sure that they do it. Also, on the back of the lanyards for the school IDs, they're going to have the suicide hotline and the suicide text line, so that kids in school and after school and school and at home, they're going to have those numbers that they can always have on hand with them. So that's big, y'all. Yeah. And we're also trying to get a 3-digit number like 911 for suicide prevention. So that's some of the things that the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is doing. Any questions?
No, I don't think so. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Okay, now I need a motion and a second to go back into regular session. I have a motion by Ms. Broussard, a second by Mr. Brown. Roll call. Okay, we're now back in regular session. Reports, finance, and administrative action. Item number 1, balance sheet of July 2019 on request. Item number 2, budget report for July 2019 on request. Reports, parish and other governmental agencies. Item number 1, monthly billing report dated August 2019 was in your packet. Public Works reports. 1, Public Works Department report for closed work orders dated August 26th to 30th, 2019 was in your packet. Special business, we have none. Council member announcements. Okay, see no council member announcements. We'll go on to president's announcements. Mr. Richard or his sidekick? Designate, okay.
We'll talk about tropical weather a little bit. Start with Hurricane Barry.
We were recently notified that Iberia Parish did not qualify for individual assistance from the federal government related to damages from Hurricane Barry. It's my understanding that no area in the state met the threshold required for individual assistance. So there are, I don't know if you're aware, I'm sure everybody is, there are a few tropical systems right now that we're keeping an eye on. There's one in particular that could threaten the coast in the near future, and President Richard will attend the weather briefing by the National Weather Service tomorrow related to this system. In relation to that, we are expecting higher than normal rainfall or rain chances and higher than normal tide activity for the weekend as well. Just to go over a few things in regards to Public Works. We have performed cleaning culverts in Districts 2, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Culvert inspections in District 9. Debris pickup continues in various districts. Drainage, field drainage in Districts 8 and 10. Roadside drainage work in Districts 5, 10, and 11. We've been grading roads in various districts. Limestone work in District 11. Road crossings in District 9. Road patching in Districts 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, and 14, and some road repair work in District 10. Side booming continues on front ditches in various districts as well. And I think that'll do it for tonight.
Okay, now we'll move on to consent agenda items. Minutes, regular meeting of August 28, 2019. Summary number 139, introduced by Lloyd Brown, District 4, resolution of condolences to the family of Garen Lewis, son of Iberia Parish School Board member Raymond Shudu Lewis, who passed away on August 16, 2019. Summary number 140, introduced by Parish President, a resolution authorizing the filing of an application with Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development for a grant under 49 CFR 5311, Non-Urbanized Area Formula Program, and or 49 CFR 5339 Discretionary Capital Program. Summary number 141, introduced by the Parish President, a resolution authorizing the filing of an application with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development for a grant under 49 CFR 5311 Unurbanized Area Formula, and or 49 CFR 5339 Discretionary Capital Program. Summary number 142, introduced by Parish President, a resolution proclaiming the month of September 2019 as Suicide Awareness Month in Iberia Parish. Summary number 143, a resolution authorizing the Parish President to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement by and between Iberia Parish Government and Sewer District Number 1 of Iberia Parish regarding the Estes Road Paul Segura Parkway project, to provide for the effective date thereof and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Summary number 144, introduced by the Legal Counsel, a resolution authorizing and requesting the Louisiana State Mineral and Energy Board and the Office of Mineral Resources to nominate certain Iberia Parish government-owned property located at or near the Acadia Regional Airport for an agency oil, gas, and mineral lease, to provide for the effective date thereof and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. I have a motion by Mr. Brown and a second by Mr. Gosselin. Mr. Brown.
Summary 139.
Okay, we'll pull item number 139 out. Mr. Gosselin?
I'm good with that, sir.
Okay. So we'll go on to,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, Mr. Gosselin?
Yeah, I'd like to pull summary number 143 out also.
Okay, 143. Okay, Mr. Dugas?
No, that's fine. I want to pull back some.
Okay, so we're we're going to pull 139 out, and we're going to pull 143 out. We'll do them by themselves. So now we're going to go ahead and have roll call to pass the other ones. Roll call. Okay, everything else passes. We'll go back to item summary number 139. Mr. Brown.
Speaking with Mr. Lewis, he just wanted to tell everybody that he appreciate all the prayers, the food, the flowers, the cards, the calls at his house, and he said he just wanted y'all to know that he really appreciated it. And he asked that y'all continue to pray for him with him going through this difficult time. And that's all. The next thing I would just want to say that
I make a motion that we accept this resolution and unanimous all full council.
Okay. All right. Roll call. That passed unanimous, Mr. Brown. Give him our sympathy. Now we'll go back to summary number 143. Mr. Gusherson? Okay.
Just pulled it out.
Okay. So we have any other discussion? Okay. Light me up.
I thought I did.
Okay. Okay, got the floor, Mr. Dugas.
Okay, summary 143, we're asking the parish president to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement between Iberia Parish Government and the sewer district for the Paul Segura Parkway. Is that project ready to be turned over to the sewer district number 1?
Mr. Shealy?
Yes, sir. In fact, the sewer district has already passed a similar resolution authorizing their chairman to sign that agreement.
So there's no pending work that needs to be done that we don't want to pass on to the sewer district right now?
The only issue that's out there is one manhole that is right along the side of a ditch that the state is going to do some work along there to improve drainage. That's going to have to either be moved or it can be just bypassed and connected, and that's going to have to be addressed.
So if we approve this agreement tonight, then the sewer district burdens that expense? And if not, then the parish has to pay for that?
Well, that depends on which approach you want to use, and certainly that's available for the sewer district to ask the parish for any help.
Okay.
Depending on which approach they want to use.
Okay.
And that's not at all unusual. That's just like any other project where there's utilities there, and the utility company, and you want to either expand a road or whatever, the utility company usually says you got to pay for moving the utilities so we can make that expansion at that intersection or anywhere else.
So when the engineers came in and told us that that project was ready to be taken over, no one knew about this manhole that had to be moved?
Go ahead.
We've been fighting that drainage project. I don't know how many years. We had 5 or 6 meetings at Genesis Pipe, and we finally got the state to fund of enlarging the driveway pipes all the way from Genesis Pipe all the way to Segura Branch Canal. The state has gotten back with me and says this manhole needs to be moved or done away with. The more cost-effective would be an intergovernmental agreement between the sewer district and Public Works to help them just go and remove it and connect it. If we go out to bid, it's 30-something thousand, and that's what we have come up with so far. But it's up to them to come back and ask Larry and them if they can help. So that'd be our cheapest way out.
Okay. I don't have any more questions.
In the sewer department, I was at the meeting when they accepted it. They said this is a project they can do. And but the manhole was just to go where you could get in and wash it. And Barry said that they have the equipment. They can just go on the farther side and wash it both ways, and it'll be fine. So they don't see any. And to move the whole line, it was like $300,000. And then the cheaper one with Marty was about 30. And then this one's, $3,000-4,000. But the state's telling them they got to move it, so it's not up for discussion.
And they're waiting on us to move it, to go ahead with the project. The project has been so they're waiting on us to remove that manhole, and then they can. And with the state digging the ditches has helped some, but I think with enlarging the pipes This driveway a little bit bigger than the next one, further down, bigger and bigger until you get to the end. I think that's probably going to solve some of their flooding problems into that business. And this last rain, they got flooded again. So, yeah.
And a lot of y'all remember that they were going out there pumping Tubasco. It was the day after that they signed their agreement and they accepted it on their side. They went out and pulled the plugs that day, so they're not going out there having to do that pumping and everything. So basically, the system is starting to operate already.
At the time that system was designed, that the state had not approved that drainage project.
Right. Yes.
So we had no, when it was
We had
designed,
no-
they had no way of knowing that that was going to be in the way.
Okay, seeing no further comments, roll call. Oh, I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
By Michael Landry, a second by Mr. Olivier. No further discussion, roll call. That motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, ordinances introduced for public hearing, summary number 5004, introduced by Zoning Commission, an ordinance approving the reclassification request for the property of Nivette Watkins, 3800 block of East Old Spanish Trail, Louisiana 182, located generally south of East Old Spanish Trail, Louisiana 182, and east of Central Avenue, the particular parcel being rezoned from R4 Manufactured Mobile Home Park to C2 General Business located in District 11. All is reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Zoning Commission. I have a motion by Mr. Gonsalas, a second by Mr. Trahan. Mr. Gonsalas. Mr. Trahan. No further discussion. Roll call. That motion passes. Resolutions introduced for public hearing and adoption, summary number 145, introduced by Fire Protection District Number 1, a resolution approving the issuance, sale, and delivery of not exceeding $1 million of revenue anticipating notes of Fire Protection District Number 1 of Parish of Iberia, State of Louisiana, and other matters relating thereto. I have a motion by Ms. Broussard, a second by Mr. Olivier. Ms. Broussard?
Wait.
Mr. Olivier? No further discussion, roll call. That motion passes. Summary number 146, introduced by the Fire Protection District Number 1, a resolution amending the 2019 General Fund and Fire Protection District Number 1 fund budgets in the amount of $200,000 to provide interim funding for operational expenditures as necessary for fiscal year 2019. All to be repaid by Fire Protection District Number 1 funds with revenue anticipation note funding. Have a motion by Ms. Broussard, a second by Mr. Olivier. Ms. Broussard?
Wait.
Mr. Olivier? No further discussion, roll call. That motion passes. Summary number 147, introduced by the parish president, a resolution amending the 2019 Economic Development District Number 1 fund budget in the total amount of $794,732 for the funding for the following bond funded projects: A, ARA wastewater treatment project in the amount of $301,206, and B, CIAP ARA street projects in the amount of $493,526, and further amending the 2019 royalty fund budget to accept said project contributions from the district, and all to be funded from the fund balance previous year's line item. I have a motion by Mr. Olivier, a second by Michael Landry. Mr. Olivier?
Waive.
Michael Landry?
Waive.
No further discussion, roll call. That motion passes. Summary number 148, introduced by Paul G. Landry, District 7, a resolution amending the 2019 Public Building Maintenance Fund budget in the amount of $50,000 to cover the estimated cost to repair chill water piping at the Courthouse Annex location, all to be funded from remaining funding from Courthouse second floor project. I have a motion by Mr. Brown, a second by Ms. Broussard. Mr. Brown? Ms. Broussard?
Waive.
No further discussion, roll call. Marty? No, we're not adjourning right away. Okay, Mr. Olivier?
Mr. Chairman, I think that's a time-sensitive issue. on the committee agenda to maybe move to full council as an expansion. I think Andy can give you a little more explanation about it.
Okay.
What I was going to suggest is that rather than adjourning, why don't you just recess the meeting, and then when you get to the committee and you talk about the advertisement for the public notice regarding the charter,
Okay.
if it's necessary for you to amend your agenda, you can come back and do so because you would have only recessed and not adjourned.
Okay.
Not sure you'll need to, but just out of an abundance of precaution, maybe you want to do that.
Okay. Okay, we can do that. So we're going to go ahead and take a recess from the council. Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Gonsalves, a second by Mr. Olivier.
One question,
Go
can
ahead.
we move that agenda item first so the cameraman can... You can adjourn after you finish.
Yes, we could do that.
Yeah, that's good. I'm good with the recess. Yeah, we got to vote.
Okay, we have to vote on the recess. I have a motion by Mr. Gonsalves, a second by Mr. Olivier. Roll call.
That's just simple.
Just go fast.
Okay, we've recessed. We're going to go to council. We're looking at an expansion. Item number 1, discuss and consider a motion to expand the agenda to discuss and consider the following items. Summary number 149, introduced by Eugene Olivier, District 10, a resolution amending the 2019 general fund budget in the amount of $1,400 in order to publicize the proposed revised home rule charter scheduled for voting upon at October 12, 2019 election, all to be funded from the fund balance previous year's line item. The purpose of this expansion to appropriate funds for the advertisement of the proposed revised home rule charter scheduled for voting upon at the October 12, 2019. Okay, I need a motion to go into public hearing. I have a motion by Michael Landry, a second by Mr. Olivier. Roll call. Mr. Gashasan, Mr. Pollard. Oh, and myself. Okay. We're now in public hearing. We're in public comments. Does anybody would like to make any comments about the advertising for the home rule charter? Seeing none, I need a motion and a second to go back into regular session. I have a motion by Ms. Broussard, a second by Mr. Olivier. Roll call. Okay, we're now back in regular session. Now we're going to take a motion and a vote to expand the agenda. I have a motion by Ms. Broussard, a second by Mr. Olivier. Roll call. Okay, that motion passes. We've expanded. Motions to suspend the rules as this item did not go to the Finance Committee. I need a motion by Michael Landry, a second by Ms. Broussard. Roll call. Oh, okay. That motion passes. Motions to vote on motions and vote on item summary number 149, introduced by Eugene Olivier, District 10, a resolution amending the 2019 general fund budget in the amount of $1,400 in order to publicize the proposed revised home rule charter scheduled for voting upon at the October 12, 2019 election, all to be funded from the fund balance previous year's line item. Warren. Okay.
So I thought it was 2,500 in travel.
No. Oh, 2,500, okay. Okay, 2,500. Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Gonsalves, a second by Ms. Broussard. I did say 1,400, but it is 2,500.
And it was to come from travel or from?
Travel. Okay.
And the language in the ad is staying the same?
No, the language
No.
in the ad is
No.
going to be changed to red.
Okay, roll call. And motion passes. Need a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.